Hey everyone. So there's a ton of talk right now about using AI in the Singapore property market, and you can see why, right? It feels like you've got this super smart research assistant sitting right in your pocket. But here's the thing, when you're talking about the biggest financial decision of your life, can you really just hand the keys over to a chatbot? Let's get into it. This really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Whether you're buying your first HDB or looking to sell a condo, you're probably wondering if these new AI tools can give you an edge. You know, maybe even save you that agent's commission is a really tempting thought. But is it a smart one? You know, to really get to the bottom of this, let's start with a true story. This isn't some made-up scenario. This was a recent transaction right here in Singapore. And what's wild is that both the buyer and the seller decided to use AI to guide them. What happened next is the perfect example of the problem. Okay, so check this out. Both parties are looking at the exact same property. The buyer goes to his AI and asks, "Hey, is this a fair price?" And the AI builds an answer just for him. A really confident, well-reasoned argument saying, "Nope, based on the data, the price is too high." Meanwhile, the seller asks her AI the same thing, and it builds an answer for her. An equally confident, equally detailed response saying, "Yep, this is a totally fair market price." So now you have two people both feeling completely justified by their research, and the results, a total stalemate. The deal pretty much died right there. So what happened? Was one of the AIs just broken? Actually, no. And this is probably the most important thing to understand. This isn't a bug. It's actually a core feature of how these tools are designed. See, they weren't built to find the truth. They were built to do something completely different. We have this idea that AI is like some super calculator. You pop in a question and it spits out this single correct answer. But that's not what's going on under the hood at all. An AI's main job is to be coherent. It looks at your question and the context of your chat history, and then it constructs the most convincing, statistically likely answer for you. It's basically pretending to be an expert, and it is incredibly good at sounding like one. And that quote just nails it. The AI isn't trying to lie to the buyer or the seller. It's doing precisely what it was built for, creating a confident, tailored answer for the person asking the question. It has zero idea that there's a real deal on the line or that two people are on opposite sides of a negotiation. So here's a simple way to think about it. When you ask the AI a question, it doesn't just do one quick search. It secretly creates its own little list of questions to ask Google. But here's the catch. Because your conversation with it is different from the seller's conversation, those secret questions are also different, and different questions lead to different search results, which the AI then uses to stitch together a completely unique answer just for you. That's why you can never get a single universal truth out of it. So if the AI is just building answers from what it finds online, that leads us to its biggest weakness in any property deal. There's this huge information gap between the digital world and the real world. Let's dig into what I like to call AI's 7 property blind spots. Now, don't get me wrong, an AI's knowledge is absolutely massive. It has read pretty much the entire public internet. It knows historical prices, it knows market trends, it knows published data better than any single human ever could. That's its superpower for sure. But just look at what's missing. The AI has absolutely no idea why the seller is really selling. Are they desperate because they are moving overseas next month? Or are they just kind of testing the waters? It has no clue who else is viewing the property right now. It doesn't know your specific ABSD tier, your additional buyer's stamp duty, or your exact CPF situation, which massively changes your real budget. It can't explain why one stack or a line of units in a building is priced differently from the one right next to it, and maybe most importantly, it has zero emotional intelligence. These 7 things, they're not data points. This is human intelligence. And that really gets to the core of it, doesn't it? A property deal isn't a data exercise, it's a human negotiation. And all the information that truly makes or breaks a deal, that stuff exists offline in the real world between actual people. Hey, you don't have to just take my word for it. Researchers at top universities like Stanford and MIT have been putting AIS to the test in some pretty high-stakes negotiations. And honestly, the results are eye-opening. So in a recent Stanford study, they had different AI agents negotiate against each other. The result? The seller AIs that were weaker ended up losing up to 14% in profit compared to the stronger AI agents. Now, think about what that means. On a $2 million property in Singapore, that's a potential loss of $280,000 just because your AI wasn't as good as the other guys. And the researchers themselves were super direct about this. Their main takeaway wasn't that AI is an amazing negotiator. It was basically a warning. The best AI wins the negotiation, and the other side literally pays the price. And other studies found even more issues. AIS have this habit of anchoring at really extreme prices, and then they refuse to meet in the middle. At an MIT competition, they found you could actually trick the bots into revealing their secret walkaway price with just a few simple prompts. And maybe worst of all, sometimes the AI just completely ignores its users' instructions, at one point committing a buyer to a price that was way over their stated budget. For me, this was the detail that said it all. After doing all this research, the Stanford scientists basically admitted they wouldn't even trust an AI to negotiate something as simple as their own car purchase, let alone a multi-million-dollar property deal. That really says everything, doesn't it? So this is where we have to pivot. If AI is such a flawed negotiator, what's the alternative? Well, this brings us right back to the skills of an experienced human property agent, skills that are frankly irreplaceable. A good agent does everything that was in that blind spot column we looked at earlier. They spend their time figuring out the seller's real motivation. They read the subtle emotional cues. They know which URA caveat data, that's the efficient record of past sales, is actually a good comparison and which ones are misleading. They have that on-the-ground, real-time intel about other buyers. They manage the entire psychology of the deal. And maybe most important of all, they take professional and legal accountability for the advice they give you. An AI does absolutely none of that. And that's really the bottom line here. In today's world, an agent's job isn't to be a gatekeeper of information anymore. You can get information from an AI. The real value of an agent is to provide judgment, the wisdom to interpret all that information correctly in the context of your specific deal. Okay, so all this doesn't mean AI is useless. Not at all. It's an incredibly powerful tool, but only if you use it for the right job. So let's quickly talk about the smart way to bring AI into your property journey. Here's a simple 3-step plan. First, treat AI like your personal research assistant. Have it explain complex things like lease decay on an HDB flat, or what an MOP, your minimum occupation period, really means. Use it to brainstorm a list of really smart questions. Step 2, always double check the key numbers with hard data like the official records on the URA website. And third, bring all that research and all those questions to a professional agent. Their job is to put all of that into context for you. This right here is the winning formula. You've got an informed client who's done their homework, paired up with an experienced agent who provides the judgment and the street smart expertise. That partnership is so much more powerful than either one of you could ever be on your own. If you only remember one thing from all of this, please make it this. AI is fantastic at modeling a market, looking at tons of historical data and spotting the big trends, but it simply cannot model a deal. A deal isn't a data point, it's a living, breathing human interaction full of emotions and private information and secret motivations that will never ever show up on the internet. At the end of the day, buying or selling a home is one of the most personal and human things we ever do. It's not a negotiation between two computers, it's between two people, two families. So by all means, use the tools, get smart, but make sure you partner with a skilled agent you trust to navigate the most important part of that journey for you. After all, the best deal isn't about the data, it's the one that brings you home. The couple in that story got their deal done, not because of AI, because a human agent stepped in with the context that no chatbot could ever have. If you want that kind of advice for your next move, I'm here. WhatsApp me at +65 9750 1055. Keith Tan from ERA. The best deal isn't about the data, it's the one that brings you home.